welcome to the Mindful Evolution Podcast. I'm Leah Drew, your host and mind-body healing guide. This podcast is for the awareness seeker ready to go deeper, create change, and feel more empowered over their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. My intention is to be a catalyst for you as we explore topics surrounding holistic health, mindset optimization, trauma healing, emotional intelligence, and much more. I'm so grateful to have you here and support you as we evolve in mind, body, and spirit. Let's breathe in and out. Now, let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Mindful Evolution Podcast. I'm your host, Leah Drew, and today I have my friend Matt Allyn with me on the show. Matt is a creator, and he believes that your marketing can position you as the only and obvious solution to your ideal client's problems, becoming a thought leader in your industry, all the while being your most authentic, fun self. Matt's a big, or I should say has a big love for the subconscious mind and really following the things that you love and the things that are in alignment for you. And so today we're going to dive deep into the self, as well as connecting the self to your business and to the dream life that you desire. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Same. You and I recently connected over the last year. And when you and I dropped in for the first time at a coffee shop, you shared a lot with me about your journey that got you to where you are, where you're now really encouraging others to set out on their journey and find the things that light them up, find the things that they love, and to not wait to pursue them, to make them happen now. And I'm curious how that has become such a passionate thing for you, is doing those things that you love now. How did you get there?
Yeah, so it all, started when I was born. No, I'm just kidding. It was really, if we fast forward to I went to school, studied to be a civil engineer because who knows what I wanted to do with my life, but I was good at math. Went to a school that was known for engineering, so studied to be a civil engineer, and that's what I did. And graduated in 2012. By, I would say, 2015, 3 years in New York City. I was on some really amazing projects: New York City Police Academy, the World Trade Center, and the memorial for the 9/11 towers or the Freedom Towers. I'm on these amazing projects, and I remember being downtown in the financial district of New York City, walking to my boss's office and looking out the window and seeing the memorial and the World Trade Center being built. And I'm like, okay, I'm not happy. I'm 25. I did it. I got the great job. I'm an engineer, really cool title. I'm working on these projects. And I'm like, I don't really love life. I spend a lot of my day getting my work done in 4 hours and then looking up the things I'm interested in on the computer the rest of the day. And, even a big part of that story is in New York, constantly trying to figure out how I could make more money so I could retire before 65. That was the big thing for me. I even, one of the things which actually led to the bike ride across America, which is my project. I moved to the financial district, and I was living in Brooklyn, and I'm like, oh, cool. It's 3 miles. I can cross the Williamsburg Bridge and get to my job in a 3-mile trip, which means I could buy the bike share program, City Bike, which is $130-ish for the year, instead of buying $130 per month Subway Pass. I'm like, I can save a lot of money per month, put that money towards savings, so hopefully I can retire before 65, and invest that money. Lucky for me, that riding my bike started to become so fun. I loved getting up early, riding my bike across the bridge, being under the East Side Highway, and there's where the Asian women would be doing their Tai Chi under the bridge, and I was just just loving exploring the city this way. And when I was a kid, I used to bike a lot with my brother and some friends into town. Every day during the summer, we'd bike to town. So just feeling this childlike joy. And, one thing led to another. I ended up getting my own bike and started to bike around Central Park and doing these longer rides. Got really interested in biking. And a day came where I was like, just found myself sitting there like, if I keep going down this path of like just climbing the corporate ladder and hoping I save enough money to retire one day and then I can live my life. And I just saw this version of Matt, like 60 years old, retirement, and like, or even at 80 years old, and like my grandkids on my lap being like, Dad or Grandpa, tell us some stories. And I'm like, well, I was an engineer. And like, it's so boring. I'm like, I don't like this. And so in kind of a quarter life crisis moment at 25 years old, I was like, you know what? I'm going to ride my bike across America. I need to do something spectacular with my life, something memorable, something that I choose for myself. And that was a big thing where I think I've spent my whole life, and a lot of us, right? Like baseball was my sport growing up. I loved the Mets, but like, was that ever a choice? Or like my dad loved the Mets. He coached me and my brother through baseball through our entire childhood. And like, did I really choose to love baseball, or did I kind of fall into that based on what my dad liked? And it's like, where in my life have I really chosen what I wanted, right? Engineering. Oh, Matt, I remember freshman year of college, called my mom. I was a business major. I was like, I hate this. Business class is boring. And she's like, well, you're good at math. Like, you could be an engineer. I'm like, okay. It's like, when have I chosen something for myself? And this was the moment where I'm like, I want to ride my bike across America because I love it. And I'm just loving the childlike joy and freedom on the bike. So in 2016, I rode my bike across America. It was 90 days, 5,019 miles, the best summer of my entire life. And I learned a lot on that trip. But the biggest thing I learned is, I got to the end and my family was there. They saw me finish in Seaside, Oregon. They were there to celebrate. We were like, I could cry every time I think about it. We're spraying champagne. But then you know what happens to all of us? We do these big accomplishments. Then it's like, now what? Right? So we spend 0.1% of our lives spraying champagne and celebrating with our family or our loved ones because we accomplished the goal we set out. And then it's on to the next pursuit. And I just kind of had this moment. I was like, so now I'm going to go back to New York City and be a civil engineer. Like, it's over. And so now what? And I can't go back to New York and work for the weekends. And thank God for Friday. And shout to Mike, hump day, Mike, hump day. Like, oh God, I was freaking out. And I was like, but I just saw these 90 days that I loved. I loved every second of it. I remember even being one of the hardest days, climbing up a bunch of hills, going downhill too, and like in the freezing rain. It was the one and only day that I wanted uphills because they would warm me up, and not want a downhill because it'd be freezing cold. But even on those downhills being so cold in 40-degree rain, I was like, you're not behind the computer, in New York City right now, being an engineer. And I'm like, so how can I go back to living a life where those are my thoughts, that like I dread so much these 40 hours a week at my job. I just saw 90 days where I could love life. So now going forward, I want to do things that I love. And I don't know, obviously I wasn't making money on this bike trip, but like I need to do something I love every day. I want to be excited every day I wake up, and it's not engineering. So let's find out what it is.
Yeah, your experience with riding your bike across America sounds like it was a huge catalyst for you into stepping more into a life that feels more in alignment for you.
Yeah, for sure. I just, again, it's like, I think people are afraid to take action, or it's like, well, I went to school for engineering. I spent all this money, I just paid off, I'm 33. I just paid off my final student loan payment a few months ago. But like, right, we paid for it and we've been doing this job for so long. I can't quit now. It's like, why? You're not happy. And you have this idea of maybe what happiness could look like. Like, why wouldn't you go pursue that? The problem I think people get in, and this is the one thing I'm so grateful for my bike trip, is that we do things to solve the problem. And then we have this expectation that this is going to solve my problem and make me happy. And that's where people get stuck and frustrated and confused. And it's like, well, this didn't work. Now what? Right? It's like, you've already been doing that. You've already been thinking like, right now, I was an engineer to make the good money because I thought this would make me happy, or I was told this would make me happy, and it didn't. So I'm not going to continue to go about life that way. What I'd rather do, and what I did with the bike trip, was like, I'm going to ride my bike across America because I love riding my bike. It's so fun. And I met people on that trip, veterans and like older people, some guys in between career shifts. And it was, for a lot of people, is this trip needs to help me like figure out what I need to do with my life. And they're on this hunt and forcing that every day has to give this enlightenment moment. And I'm over here like, I'm just riding my bike because it's fun. And I'm like screaming. I'm on Snapchat, like screaming in my camera and just enjoying the hell out of it. And because I wasn't forcing that this has to solve my problems, I was so open to any of the lessons that would come in. And of course, one of those big lessons being like, oh, don't be an engineer, like don't climb the corporate ladder. That's not it. You should just do things you love. And so when I got back from that bike trip, end of 2016, going into 2017, it was just this constant hunt of like, what do I love? I don't have to quit my job right away, but like, let's start doing more things that I love and let's see where that leads. But not because like this needs to be it, that this needs to solve the problem, just because I love the process of it.
Yeah, like stepping into a process that feels good, right? Versus forcing something. And you bring up that concept of there's a big difference between forcing something and stepping into something with ease. And I think a lot of people in the world around us, especially entrepreneurs, they're constantly trying to force the thing because of societal conditioning. They're told it's what you're supposed to do. They're told that it's how you get followers or how you get views or how you get business. And one of the things for me in my journey as an entrepreneur that was always so frustrating is that I found everybody was telling me, hey, this is the way that you do it. And in reality, it was like, well, that's your way of doing it. But, and I see that there's like components of that can actually be really supportive. And how can I take those components and those aspects and apply them in a way that like feels good for me and that I want to and that lights me up and leads to something that I love versus forcing it. And really, when you force anything, it usually doesn't go too well in the end.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've recently learned this past year, it's like we want to achieve these goals ultimately because it's going to give us this internal feeling. We want more joy, groundedness, ease, love. And so we're pursuing these things, hoping that this final goal will get us that thing. And it's like, well, like I said, that's the 0.1%. And then we're on to the next thing. So, it's that cliche, but like just enjoying the journey. Like, can I do this thing in the most exciting and fun way now? Like if I want excitement, joy, groundedness, like then what does that look like now? And if I create that now, right, maybe we raise our vibration to the thing that we want and then it comes in with ease. But it's so much of, well, and also like too, and then I think people like, even when we say ease, like that doesn't mean work's not involved. Like right now I'm leaning into YouTube and I'm not a huge YouTuber. I don't watch much of it, but I like really enjoy the creative aspect of more longer form videos for myself. And now there's a lot to learn, like thumbnails and SEO. And like also now that YouTube shorts are a thing, like connecting shorts to your longer form video and like how do you make a good short and like all these things that are way different because I spend my life on Instagram. It's way different. It's a different world. And so there's work and there's research, but I'm loving the work and the research. I'm enjoying the process of it. I just posted my first video earlier this week on Monday or Tuesday or whatever. And 25 views. I'm like, sick, awesome. Clearly it's not a good video. Maybe the thumbnail sucks. Maybe it's a bad title. Maybe I didn't do SEO right. There's so many things. It's like, cool. Now next video, I get to do like 1% better. Or I heard someone say 3% better. Whatever that means. 1%, 3%, like fix one thing. Maybe it's a better thumbnail. Maybe it's a better hook at the beginning of the video. But I get to like work on improve. And I'm not so worried about like, oh no, first video on YouTube, I got 25 views. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a failure. I'm going to quit. It's like, I've never done YouTube. Why would I be expected to be good at this thing? Let's enjoy the process of getting really good at it.
I love that. I think it's so common for people to toss in the towel when the first time they try something, it doesn't become this miracle or this super successful thing. And in reality, like that's not how life works. You don't become incredibly great at something overnight. And we live in this world of instant gratification and in this world where we need those like dopamine hits. And so I often see in my clients that they try something and they're like, oh, it didn't work. And it's like, well, for example, you just said you got 25 views. That's better than 0. So it did work. It did reach some people. And the people that it reached are likely the people that it needed to reach because they're there watching it. And, a little bit earlier, you and I were discussing how you went from this place of wanting to do the things so that you could have what you wanted and have the things that you loved in the future. And I see that there's like 2 different groups of people, right? There's the people that are working really, really hard now so that the future can just be absolutely amazing and kind of sacrificing their self and their passions and their love for life in the process. And then there's the people that are working to love the life that they live right now and do the things that bring them joy and that bring them passion and that light them up so that they can make life the fullest possible experience that they can. And I'm curious, when you're chatting with entrepreneurs or when you're chatting with anyone really, because this is something that you're so passionate about, that is stuck in that, well, I have to do this now. And I have to do this now because it's going to bring me what I want in the future. Or talking to someone that's like, well, this is the way that I've been told to do it, so I'm going to do it this way, but I don't really like it and it doesn't really make me happy. What do you say to those people to help them start to make steps forwards towards doing those things that they really love now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that's the $1 million question. And there's probably a mix, right? You have these 2 people and we're probably floating between both of them, honestly. And maybe some are better at coming back to the present moment and realizing like, oh, I'm not doing the things that are filling me up. Like, okay, then what would this look like if it were more fun? There's a big word in there, right? And I imagine this, your listeners know this, like, you don't have to do anything. You get to do it. And I get to be an entrepreneur and I get to create content and I get to do these podcasts and all this gets to be fun if I let it. Or I could go back to being an engineer. I don't have to do any of this. I choose to do it. And then I think we get challenged with first, let's take a step back. First, I'll get clear on what do you want? And that can change, right? Earlier this year, I had a roster full of one-on-one clients and it didn't give me any space to be creative again. And I was like forcing my content, and I love making content. I love making videos. That's my creative outlet and it's so fun. And I didn't have the space to do that because I had all these one-on-one clients, but one-on-one clients is everything I ever wanted and the money that came with it. And I'm realizing I don't want this. So now through this year, I get to say, okay, then what is the life that I want? What do I truly want? I would tell myself that my highest value to the world, and we were talking about this before, my highest value to the world is being a coach. I can coach people, help them with their mindset, get them to take action and make content so they can grow their business and change lives. That's my highest value. And then this year, I'm like, well, who said that? Who said that, like, being a coach? Like, who are you trying to prove? If you're the best coach in the world, what does that get me? Praise from all these other people? Is that what I want? Is that going to give me the life that I want? It's like, no. What I really want is to play more sports, more golf, tennis, baseball. I want to do more running, hang out with my girlfriend and our puppy. And like, that's what I want more of. So getting that clarity and being like, oh, okay. So what does this look like? What does that life look like? It's like, well, it's probably not having all these one-on-one clients, which is why I'm now developing this membership, so I could not be on Zoom all day with all these one-on-one clients. I can spend less time, lower ticket offer, and more of a group setting, right? A membership setting. And so getting clear on what you really want, part of that comes with doing the thing, right? You find yourself doing things. Ooh, I don't like this. This person said the best way to grow a business is one-on-one coaching, right? And then you do that and you go, I don't like this. This isn't fun anymore. Cool. Now we get to do something else. And it's being honest with yourself. Like, am I just not good at this yet? Or is this really out of alignment? Sometimes we're just not good at something. So it takes a little bit of that work, right? I don't like content. It's like, well, you've posted 3 times. You don't know if you even like this or not because you're not good at it. Try to get a little bit better at it, right? Same thing like if you were to swim for the first time. Like I was a terrible swimmer, basically drowning. But when I learned how to swim and breathe properly, swimming started to become more fun. But if I gave up in that first day in the pool, who would have known if I liked swimming or didn't like swimming? And then ultimately, I love running. I don't really want to swim, but at least now I know, right? And I got through that sticking point. So knowing what you really want and then pursuing that thing. And then looking back and saying like, okay, how was it? Because we don't know what we really like. We have to go find that out. Did I like this? What did I like about it? What did I not like about it? What can I do more of? What should I do less of? And just coming back to yourself, because like you said, any way is just that person's way. Even what I'm saying is just my way. You should be questioning everything I'm saying because it's just my experience in life. But what I have found to be the most powerful for me is trying something, trying what I think I want, getting good at it or pretty good at it, and then being like, is this working? Is this getting me the life that I want? And great. If it's not, I now get to use that as evidence, and now I get to do something different. And so through that process, again, for me, it's like, well, to answer your question, like, what do I say to that person? Go try it and go be honest with yourself, right? Like, most people stop before they really know if they like that thing. They don't have enough evidence. So you got to commit to something. And we just want things right away so badly. But like we said, that's not how life works. And we just get to play in like, I don't know, I'm figuring this out. Isn't this fun that I get to figure this out? Right? Not that I have to go do this thing. It's like, I learned from this coach. They told me to do this. Now I get to try it and see what it's like. And maybe it's the most fun thing ever. Or maybe I hate it. Right? But now I know. And now I get to go try something different.
Something that's coming up for me as well is this idea of digging deeper into what it is that you do want and what is driving that thing that you want, right? Like, what is the root of it? What's underneath it? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it, right? Like, is it something that you want because, again, someone else showed you that worked for them. And so, yeah, you want it because you see what they have because it worked for them. Or is it something that you want because, like you said, it's in alignment and it really feels good and it lights you up and it brings you that joy and you actually enjoy the process of getting to what you want. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, that's what I want. And in reality, like, that thing that they want actually doesn't make them feel really good inside.
Yeah, I think there were 2 big differences you said there, like fame, money, these tangible outcomes versus then what you said was these feelings you want to have, right? So that goes back to, again, go for it. If you think the money is going to get you what you want, like, first get clear on what that is. If I have $1 million a year business, how do I feel? What is life like? What do I get to do now? All right. And then it's the living conditionally. Like, there's probably a lot of those things that you could do right now, right? Even I'm sitting in here and my girlfriend and I are in this small Airbnb and we're out here in Breckenridge and we're kind of in between this phase of like leaving Colorado and moving to Bend, Oregon. And I'm like, once I get to Bend, Oregon, I'm going to like really build community there. I'm going to start playing more sports. And I'm like, why aren't you playing more? There's pickleball courts right over there. I'm not the biggest pickleball fan, but like, go buy a $20 racket and get in line and start playing some pickleball if you want to play sports. Like, why are you waiting to like just constantly living conditionally? When this happens, then I will. Right? It's like, what are we waiting for? And so if you want the fame, if you want the money, like what does that get you? What's that internal experience like? Is it the joy, groundedness? And it's like, if that's what you really want, then how do we activate those emotions now? What can we do that's going to give me more joy and groundedness, right? And if it's, and then the second piece of this is like, nothing is good or bad. It's only your relationship to it. So you say, I want to be rich because I'll feel very successful and powerful, but I shouldn't have money to feel successful and powerful. And then you shame yourself for wanting money. And that's when it gets bad, because you just shamed yourself. It's like, who is saying that that is bad? If you want money, go make some damn money. Like, go have fun doing it. If you want fame, like, I remember learning about some of my needs. I did an exercise a few years ago. This woman came in to this business program I was in and was talking about entrepreneurs oftentimes are seeking, they're codependent in their business. So they want their business to fulfill their needs. Just like in a relationship, right? If I just wanted Natalie she had to make me happy, she had to inspire me. It's like, you're codependent with that person. It's like, you need to learn to be independent and to fulfill your own stuff and not need that person. So same with the business. And anyway, so we learned about our needs. And one of them that actually came up for me was attention. And I kind of knew this about myself, but then I would shame myself. It's like, why do I want attention from people? Like, what is that? I shouldn't need people's attention. I shouldn't need a room of 10 people laughing at my joke. Like, what's going on here? It's like, the only problem with needing attention is my relationship to thinking it's bad that I need attention. Rather, I can just go, you know what? I love attention. I love when people laugh at my jokes. I love when I walk into a room and I have the most energy and people are like, whoa, dude, you're lighting the room up. I'm like, fucking right I am. Like, I love that about me. And so I get to love that about me. And so it's just reframing that relationship. Whatever you want is awesome. Right? But I think we just get in this pattern of this shame cycle of like, I shouldn't want that, because, right? That should word. I shouldn't want that because maybe it's how you grew up. Maybe there's probably a lot of baggage to that. But it's just showing up with more love and curiosity for yourself of like, well, why do I want that thing? Is it that bad? Like, who says that that's bad? And just developing that relationship.
I love that. That's a good shift there that you're talking about, that you came to understand through the coaching program. And I think that that's really powerful. And for anyone that's listening, I encourage you to sit with, where are you using shoulds in your life? And where are you acting because you feel like you should do it? And in that, where might you be bringing shame into your life and shaming yourself because of it? And where might you be able to bring more love and compassion to the thing so that you can flip the experience? And instead of it being bad and shaming yourself for it, actually looking at, well, yeah, I like that. And that's good. It makes me feel good when that happens. And also looking at these things that you really do want in your life and taking a step backwards a little bit more and looking at the life that you're currently living and understanding if the life that you're currently living looks like the life that you want. And if it's not, how can you bring some of the values that version of you that is living the life that you want into your current world, into your current life experience? Because, for me, in my experience, as I stepped into and embodied the version of myself that was in the future, right? It's that concept that we talk about often. It's like, well, be your future self now. But it's like, oh, well, how do you do that? Well, what does your future self act like? How do they talk? What do they do? What do they enjoy? What values are they living by? And how can you take that into your present life and your present state of being so that you can step into that life like you're talking about, that is in alignment and that really is your truth and that you enjoy?
Yeah, let's talk about the future self, right? This is the really fun part of the conversation. I think this gets to be fun. If you're like, life is hard, things don't go my way, you're right. Then it's hard and they don't go your way and you'll probably be stuck forever. But when this gets to be a fun process of figuring it all out and you get to look at it that way, because the way I see it, so you future self, right? I like to use the Instagram example or like the social media example, but let's say I'm like, I want 1 million followers, right? Now let's picture the Matt who has 1 million followers. Well, who is that Matt? How does he react, right? And then once we get clear on that, let's take it back to the present moment. All right, you're not that version yet, right? So let's say I currently have like a little over 3,000 followers. If I want 1 million followers, well, what comes with 1 million followers? A whole lot more haters, a whole lot more people questioning about the content I make, saying that I'm dumb, that this is the worst thing I've ever seen. There's a lot more of that. But here's the problem. If I can't handle one hater right now, how am I ever going to handle the hundreds of thousands of haters that come with 1 million followers? So if one hater ruins your day, ruins your week, you can't handle it. It's crumbling you. It makes you afraid to continue to post. But Matt with 1 million followers posts every day, right? So what is going to happen is that the universe is going to give you an opportunity to become that person one step at a time. Hey, Matt, here's one hater. Let's see how you do. Oh, didn't affect you at all? In fact, you responded with love and kindness to that person and you moved on with your day and didn't think about it again? All right, you can handle a few more. All right, on your next post, you're going to get a little more views and you're going to get a few more haters. And let's see if you can handle 5 haters. And when you show yourself, when you show the universe that you are that person, then you get the thing, right? You don't get all this stuff. I wouldn't just get the 1 million followers because I still have lessons to learn, and maybe that would be, I don't know. I probably don't know what the lesson is for me to learn, but I can't just be given the 1 million, or maybe you do get the 1 million followers because you have a different lesson to learn than this person, right? How did this person blow up so fast? I make better content. It's like, because you have different lessons to learn. You're not ready for the 1 million. They had a different lesson to learn, so they got the 1 million and all these other lessons that had to come with it. And so we just get to look at life as like, I asked for this. Now I'm going to be challenged to become that person. And I'll even give you a more tangible story with this. So I made this post. I kind of had like a lot of stuff came in. A lot of people, similar to what I was just saying, like question, the things I was doing. And so I made a post and I was like, I'm not going to let strangers on the internet steal my power. You don't know me. You don't sit on the couch, having conversations with me and my girlfriend. You're not in the sauna with the boys having deep conversations about relationships. You're not on coaching calls with me. You don't know me, but you're going to judge me from one post anyway. So I'm not going to let strangers on the internet steal my power. So I put that out in the universe. And I said, I'm going to, stand more in my power. A week later, get on the call with my brother. And we are talking about all sorts of things, like I flying back to the East Coast for a few weddings in the summer. And I'm like, I'm not flying back for all these weddings. And he's like, well, if you were making more money, you would come. I'm like, this is nothing with money, blah, blah. And we got into this thing. And my brother's a year older, he's my best friend. And ultimately, the way the conversation went, like, I just felt sad. And he said, here's something you should do. It'll help you make more money, blah, blah, blah. And in that moment, what I could do is do the thing my brother said to make a little more money. But that thing isn't something I want to do. And so, and even my brother and I, like, we're off, like, he's like, go to every wedding. There's also this part of the conversation, like, go to every wedding. You should, it's an honor, like, blah. I'm like, dude, I don't talk to these people. I'm not just going to spend $1,000 on a weekend to go to their wedding just because they invited me. Like, I could spend $1,000 on a vacation. I could, spend more time with the people I love here in Colorado. So we didn't align, on these deeper beliefs. And so I'm sharing this because here's what happens. I post this thing on social media that said, I'm not going to let strangers steal my power. And a week later, I have this conversation with my brother, the person I love the most, the complete opposite of a stranger, who is here to say, all right, Matt, your brother just said all this shit. Are you going to let him steal your power? Here's your opportunity to say who you say, or to be who you say you are. And I realized that, like, really quickly, like probably within an hour. And this conversation with my brother, who has a big influence on me and probably could have messed me up for like a week, being like, what should I do? Maybe he's right. Oh, I'm a shitty person, Within an hour, I was like, oh, I see what's happening. I said I'm going to stand in my power. And here's the person I love most challenging my beliefs. Will I stand in my power? Will I stand up for my beliefs? And I did. And I said, fuck that. I'm not going to these weddings. I'm not doing that thing that you said to do to make more money. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing over here because I believe in it. I know what I love. I know what I'm building. I love you, Adam. Fuck off. And that's the opportunity, right? And then we get the reward. And it was actually pretty soon after that, like all of a sudden clients start coming in the DMs, and I start landing more clients. And I start making money the way I want to make money, or at least at the time, which was coaching people. But if, that was the opportunity from the universe, be the person who you say you want to be. And if I listened to my brother and did all these things, it would have been hard. It would have been boring. It would have been sticky. It would have been not fun. It would have been forced. It would have been awful. Right. But instead, I just leaned into what I know is true for me, and I got rewarded.
How have you learned to trust this lean? Like, how have you learned to trust leaning into the thing that you want versus listening to what someone else knows is going to make you more money?
Because I spent my whole life doing what everyone else said, and it didn't make me happy. But again, it's not about the money. The money is just a byfactor, right? If money's something I want, it's not about forcing it and trying to get the money. It's like, well, what I want the money to do is to give me more freedom, more joy, more happiness, right? So it goes back to that. How do I achieve that now? So I spent my whole life doing what everyone else said to do, right? I've been an engineer. I've done all of these things. And it didn't make me happy. And so now I just get to create the awareness. Oh, here's what I said I wanted. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm getting those hard moments. Well, what do those hard moments mean? Like I said, this is your challenge to be the person. You asked for, I want to be a more patient person. You don't just get to be a patient person out of nowhere. You get stuck in traffic, and instead of getting road rage, you get to take a deep breath and practice patience. You spill coffee on your shirt because you're late. Now you're late to work. You're gonna freak out and scream. You take a deep breath and be a more patient person. Long lines at the grocery store. Are you gonna be pissed and you're gonna be jumping from line to line and staring at your phone and being like this? Oh, God, I hate these lines. Or are you gonna put your phone down, stand in the line you chose, take a deep breath, and enjoy being a patient person, right? So you get the opportunity to be that person. So that's just the way I look at life now. It's like, I asked for this. I don't just get it. I get the opportunity to be that person. And how fun is this? This never-ending game of being who you say you want to be. And it's not easy. I mess up constantly. And hopefully, with some journaling and meditation and some sitting in silence, that I notice it. And go, oh, damn it. I got caught. Ha. I'm not going to let that happen again. Now I've created some awareness, and I'm going to make sure that I don't know, quote unquote, do better next time, or at least just live more in alignment next time.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that you're talking about here is being mindful of your choices, being mindful of the times that you want to react, and being able to pause and recognize when that reactivity is giving away your power, or when that reactivity is towards something that is not in alignment, or when it's something that's not going to be fun and enjoyable and bring you happiness. And I'm hearing that for such a long time, you didn't have that mindfulness around stepping into the thing that brings you happiness. And because of it, your happiness was sacrificed. And I'm seeing you now in a space of trusting and stepping into, the creator role and into the processes that are actually fun for you. And I love how much you talk about do it because it's fun. And you're always discussing this on social media, and you and I recently had a conversation about this, is stepping into the thing that would be most fun for you. What would you say to our listener to encourage them to step into that more?
Do I have to? Don't you want to have more fun? And I know I'm kind of saying that jokingly, because 2023 for me has been a big I just think we get in these traps of lying to ourselves. And it's really funny how those things can kind of show up of like, it's the quote that I might butcher, but it's like, our most dangerous beliefs are the ones we don't question because we see them as truths. And right, and like one of my truths was like, I love working. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing what I love. I'll work 12 hours a day. Like, this is great. Man, I was leaving that for so long. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, what a bunch of bullshit. I don't want to work 12-hour days. Like, I want to play more sports. I want more freedom. I want to hang out with my friends more. Like, I want to do all these other things. Are you telling me that I wouldn't rather make the same amount of money but work like 4-hour days? Of course I would. So, or more money and work 4-hour days, right? So the big thing here for me, especially this year, the last winter and coming into this year, has been like, I have found so much safety in work. If I'm stressed out, especially as an entrepreneur, if I'm stressed out, I'm worried about money or getting clients or where's the next client going to come from, I'll work more. I'll send another email. I'll record an extra podcast. I'll DM 20 people today. I'll do all this extra work. And that was safe for me. And so it felt good. It felt okay. Ultimately, it wasn't really working. It wasn't getting me the life that I want. It wasn't creating more joy, happiness. And so the really difficult practice that I had last winter and coming into this year was like, I have to practice fun is safe. Fun is safe. You want more fun? Now it's a practice. All of this is a practice, right? Noticing the awareness, the mindfulness. I've been mindful for a very long time now, but I'm still getting way better at it, right? Trying to catch myself quicker. And so, yeah, a lot of this year was like, if there was a moment where I was feeling anxious about work and wanting to work more, I would turn to my guitar and play guitar for 5 minutes. I'd go for a walk. I could call a friend. I would put on a fun podcast, go for a run, anything that would not be work. I would do that and I would remind myself, this is safe. In fact, not only is this safe, but not working is the work. Where do I get my best ideas? On my runs. When I don't have headphones in, I'm running and I'm like, oh, genius content idea. Or like, oh, I could partner with this person in a really fun way. And, that's where all the good stuff comes from. So for me specifically, that was the work for me, which is like, where do I keep lying to myself? I'm like, what do I really want? And then now, when you create that awareness, you have that mindfulness, it's like, cool, now you get to practice that and start noticing. And it's like, oh, even right now, I'm launching my membership. And so it is more of a grind season, and I'm switching platforms and building this new thing. And I have videos to do and I'm promoting it and trainings and all this stuff. It's like, it is a bit busier season, but I don't want this launch to be 12-hour days like it used to be when I would launch. Yeah, there's a little more work to do, but I don't want to fall back in those old habits, right? So now this is the chance, right, to become that person. Hey, you're launching. Are you going to go back to those old habits, late nights, staying up till 1 a.m, or will you not work so much, realize that not everything needs to be done, that you could launch this thing, without all the little bits and pieces. And like, I know there's a very specific example, and hopefully people find themselves in this, but it's like, this is where I constantly find that I think I did it. Fun is safe. It's working. The business is growing. It's not over, right? I constantly get challenged with falling into these old patterns, and I get to then continue to show up as the person I want to be.
Yeah, and it's so human to fall back into those patterns. And that's where that mindfulness component comes in, is like you said, being able to recognize faster when you're falling into that, so that you can course correct and step forwards back into that aligned course that does feel good, that is fun, that brings you happiness and enjoyment. And one of the things I think that gets in the way really often of this is comparison. I think it's so freaking easy to compare ourselves and our lives to the things that we see on social media, to the people around us. What can you share with our listener that may support them in stepping away from that comparison game?
Yeah, I think there's two types of comparison. I think there's the comparison that's really good and healthy, and you're like, whoa, this person did it, I can do it, right? And then, of course, there's comparison most of us think of, which is like they have, 10,000 followers. Why don't I? Or, oh, they're, launching. I always think of social media. That's the world I live in. But it's like, they are launching this program. Should I be launching? They're doing a Black Friday deal. Should I do a Black Friday deal? We can talk about health. Well, they do CrossFit. They look sexy. Like, should I be doing CrossFit? I hate CrossFit. I'd rather be a runner. Like, yeah, we just look at people and make all these comparisons. And I think it goes back to the word should. Like, then I should do this. But it's like, I would just pause and be like, why? And I know very much my personality is like, I'm go, and I'm a manifest generator and I'm an emotional authority too. So I'm like heightened state. I'm like, oh, I can do that. Like, I will do that. And I'm more of the thing of like, if I see you doing it, like, I will go do that thing. And right again, and this just goes back to like, for me, that's the challenge of like, wait, hold on, Matt. What do you want? What are you building here? If you do this thing, what is it going to get you? And it's just like constant reminder of, so you see someone else doing something and you now think you should do that. Why? Do they have the life you want? Do you know that for sure? Because we don't see a lot. We don't see a full story on social media. I was even thinking about this the other day with, oh man, what was it? I think with Natalie, she did something. I'm trying to remember the exact example. And I was like, if I show this on social media, people are going to be like, these two relationship goals, fucking perfect. Like, I want that life. I wish my girlfriend would do these things for me. But the reality is like, we struggle. We're disconnected sometimes, right? We don't have sex for a certain amount of time because we get disconnected and there's still a lot of work to be done. But you'll just see this thing on social media and be like, I want my girlfriend to do that for me. And it's like, sure, that could be a good thing, but like, why? Why do you want that? And yeah, it would just come back to yourself. Like, notice yourself comparing and like, what do I really want? What do I want to build? And so, I wonder, even like for my followers, like, all right, I'm building this membership. I'm letting go of one-on-one clients. Do people think that that's what they should do now because I'm doing it? Or do they realize that like, I'm doing this because I don't want to do one-on-one calls anymore. I want to play more sports. I want to create more video. Like, it doesn't mean I'm going to work less. I actually want to have space to create more videos and start doing more YouTube stuff and all of that. So like, do you even know the full story of why someone's doing something? And looking at what they're doing and say, okay, if they're doing this, that's the good comparison. This could be an example of what I could have. Is this what I want? And it's like, and then we go back to what we said before. I don't know. Let's go try it. But trying it for the right reasons, right? Because it's what you really want. And you might not know, right? So it might be good to have an influencer or whatever, a mentor that tells you to do something, because like, we have to figure it out somehow. We got to take action to gain clarity. And then now that you have clarity, did you love it? Did you hate it? Take out what you don't like. Do more of what you like.
And you don't know until you try.
Exactly.
You bring up a good point that I want to reiterate is that, especially when it comes to social media, we only see a tiny percentage of what's actually happening in someone's life, not to mention a tiny percentage of what's happening in someone's mind. And every single person, especially the ones that you look at and you're like, oh, wow, they have it all. They're doing great. They're just fucking killing it in the world. They have their problems too. And we tend to forget that the bigger you get on social media, the more money that you start to hold, the bigger the experience, oftentimes the more challenging the things are that we need to navigate with that experience. And so, just reminding you to remember that the people that you see that you think have it all, they have their challenges and their problems that they're navigating in the world and within themselves as well. And, for me, I try to do everything I can to share those things on social media as well, because I think there's so many influencers that just show all the beauty of life. And life is just not that way. Like, life is not always fucking beautiful. It's not. And life gets hard and it gets challenging. And remembering when you go to that comparison place, that other people are struggling too is really, really helpful in not sabotaging yourself and halting yourself from continuing to walk forward, in my experience.
Yeah. There's my take on, Instagram's a highlight reel. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. People are running businesses on here, right? Also, I'm not going to contribute to the negative vibration and hate that goes on because there's already plenty of that, right? And there's already a bunch of crap on social media that a lot of people follow, and I don't follow that stuff, and I'm not going to contribute to it. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you should be a highlight reel. Now, that doesn't mean you don't talk about the bad shit, but you process the bad shit on your own time. Deal with it with your girlfriend. Go talk to your dad if you need to talk to your dad, right? And have that conversation. Do that and process it. And then you can share, a month ago, I was a fucking wreck because XYZ happened. Here's what I did to deal with it. And I'm feeling a lot better. I got support from a therapist and my best friend. And then you can show up as a leader, but you can still talk about it. But like, yeah, I'm not going to, when I'm crying because some bad shit happened, you think I'm going to grab my camera, record myself crying because I got to show the world that I cry too? No, that's not what I feel like doing in that moment. That would be actually the least authentic thing for me in that moment, would be to grab my camera and start filming myself. But what I can do is go through that, process it, learn from it, and then show up as a leader and share people what I went through and how I got through it. And I think that's a way that you can, make Instagram kind of less of a highlight reel. But we don't need to be using our followers as our therapists and crying and looking for sympathy from them, because that's not going to solve your problem. Is crying on camera and getting 50 people saying, I hope everything's okay. Are you okay? It's like, you're not really getting what you need in that moment. And so that's one big thought on that. I'll also share, I just made this post. It did really well, and I'm so excited to make more of this internal dialogue. I was sitting outside my favorite brewery on a Sunday after my baseball game. I'm still in my baseball pants. And I wanted to go to the brewery and get some work done on Sunday. So like just to lighten the load for the upcoming week. And it's fucking packed. And there's so many people there. I'm like, I'm sitting in my car. And this is like, especially people who follow me are like, I can be very extroverted. There's a lot of introversion that does happen, but I'm sitting there in my car and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people here. This is not like a work vibe. Like, should I bring my computer? Should I just go home? I was like, I had butterflies in my stomach. I was freaking out. And then I'm like, dude, just bring your backpack in. You don't have to take your computer out. Just get a beer and like feel it out, And if worst case, you just drink a beer and you can leave. And so anyway, I ended up like recording just videos of me like sitting in my car, grabbing my backpack, going to grab a beer, like setting up my computer. And like, I just filmed all this B-roll. And then afterwards, I recorded my internal dialogue and made a video out of that where I was like, I'm freaking out. I want to go to my favorite brewery, but I'm nervous. Doesn't seem like the work vibe. I'm like, why do I even care about this? This shouldn't matter. But like, I'm still freaking out anyway. And then like, I sat down and there were there's these 3 high school girls. I don't know if they were soccer players. They had like eye black on. Yeah, maybe like, I don't know, 15-year-old girls. And one kept coming up like next to me and like had her back to me. And then the table of girls were like giggling. And I'm like, are they messing with me? I'm like, are they like, what's going on here? And then I was like, I got my mullet. I'm like, do they think I'm cool? I'm like, I'm 33 years old. I'm like an old man to them, right? If you remember being in high school, 30-year-olds were old people. And I'm like, am I cool? I'm like, am I a weirdo? Like, I'm not just an old guy. And that was part of this video I made of this funny internal dialogue. And of course, people on social media are like, the part about the high school girls was really weird. I'm like, I'm not, like, you're making it weird. I just want to be cool. That's all I'm thinking. But anyway, it was just really fun to make that internal dialogue because it gives people that like, I think that's a fun way. It was fun for me to be creative. It was fun to create it and go through that process and like kind of reflect on the moment and then to make that video. And then I got to put it out of like, yo, I have these thoughts too, right? My mind rambles and I get nervous in crowds, even though I look very extroverted. It was like a way for me to show that without saying what I just said, that I get nervous for the crowds too. And it was just really fun piece of content. I think I just wanted to share that because I think there could be fun ways to show up in an authentic way of showing other parts of you that aren't like, that can feel good, that can feel fun and exciting and not like, oh no, like I also think if you're like freaking out, you're like, I'm going to get really vulnerable. This is scary. Like there's growth there. That's also good. But if it's the bad feeling of like, I don't know, whatever, crying on camera. Like, I think we know, or hopefully you're practicing knowing what it feels like to really show up authentically and to show up like, I just crying on camera because I know it's going to get a lot of likes and follows. And it's like, that's why. What do likes and follows do for you? And that's not how I like to show up or how I want my clients showing up. It's like, I want you to show up in a powerful way and an exciting way and content that fills you up and feels fun and like you're providing value to people's lives and you're raising the consciousness, not in a thing that's like, oh, I'm crying on camera, and because my dog just died, like this is going to go viral because everybody loves a sap story about a dying puppy. It's like, you're not doing it right. And it's probably not going to make you feel how you want to feel.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day around like trending audios and how like right now there's this trend of Instagram Reels that's telling people, oh, you have to go and you have to find the trending audio and you have to use that, and that's how it's gonna happen and how you're gonna get all the followers, and that's the key. And you and I had this conversation around, and you posted on social media about this too, around, well, why do you have to do that? Like you don't have to, honestly, right? It's like you can record the video. Go like choose the audio that you freaking love, because if you love it, chances are your audience is going to love it and is going to do well.
I mean, these audios have to start from someone, right? Someone has to make them popular, but yeah, right. It's just your relationship to the whole process again, just as it is your relationship with like, I want to make money. Well, if you shame yourself, then nobody wants to feel shameful. And if you do, then keep shaming yourself, then you're getting what you want. But if you're feeling like you need to hunt down these audios and you like hate the process and it makes you anxious, and then you make a video with that trending audio and it doesn't do well, and you're like, all this fucking work for nothing, you see how you're not getting the emotions you want to have. But if you created a reel about your relationship with your puppy and you put a Dave Matthews song on it, shout out Dave, because I love Dave Matthews and that's the music I want to play, even though Crash Into Me isn't trending right now, like whatever, then do it, because that was so fun and creative for you to make. And now you are doing the thing that's getting you the feelings you want. But you think by hunting down these trending audios that, I'm going to turn this back to you, by the way. You think by hunting down these trending audios that you're going to get all the likes and all the follows and your business is going to grow so that you can feel joy, happiness, freedom, right? You can feel that right now. And on the flip side, if hunting down trending audios and trying to go viral is really fun and exciting for you and you love the game, then that's also awesome too. And then you're getting the feelings you want to have. But we just spend so much time thinking that doing this thing is going to get me what I want. And then it doesn't, and we're disappointed. And, we just feel exhausted. And it's like, I want to do the things that energize me. And so what are those things? And this will go back to our conversation, right? I probably don't know 100% all the things that energize me. So let's try things. Maybe we do hunt down trending audios for a week. Did we love the hunt? Was that fun? Regardless of the likes and stuff, then yeah, let's keep doing that. It's like, no, I hated it. That was so exhausting and it wasn't fun and it took me out of my creativity. It's like, well, then don't do that anymore. Because look at social media. All your famous popular leaders, are they posting shit with trending audio? I had this conversation. I was saying this so much last summer. All the voiceover reels, everybody quote, like lip dubbing stuff, those voiceover reels. Everybody was doing them. And I would do a few, but it like took me out of my creativity. I didn't like it. And I was like, look at your favorite, the people you want to be, the leaders, like Lewis Howes and Tony. Now I can't think of anyone in my mind right now. Who are your favorite leaders, Leah?
Yeah, putting me on the spot here.
I know, right?
I have so many in so many different realms.
Like how about Aubrey Marcus, Gary Vee, like anyone popular you can think of?
Yeah, Aubrey Marcus is a good one.
Yeah. Is he doing voiceover reels? Is he doing trending audios? Is he worried about that? No. He's having heartfelt conversations on his podcast. He's, was at Burning Man and sharing what was happening there with the floods. Like, he's just sharing what's real, true for him, and speaking from the heart. And I imagine he loves doing that. And then, yeah, I'm sure his team puts the podcast post together. But he's not like, guys, we got to jump on this trending audio. No. And look, he's doing totally fine. He has hundreds of thousands of followers. And so, you know, if you think that these trending audios are going to get you with the person you want to be, it's like, maybe that's not right. And maybe you should practice being that person now, which might be speaking to the camera. It might be, being more creative and having those ideas.
And you can be that person now. Yeah. And you
Anything works.
Commented on anything does work.
Yeah.
If it works for you.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's got to work for you first.
Mm-hmm. And you might not know. So go try it.
Go try it out.
Try it for a while. Right? It's just like giving up so soon. Too soon. And I think there is this breaking point. That's something I learned on my bike trip and that I've seen in all areas of my life. Like, I was riding around New York City training for my bike ride across America, but it's Manhattan. It's flat. The only hill I got was the Williamsburg Bridge, which is like 400 feet of elevation gain compared to 3,000 feet in the, Blue Ridge Mountains, Appalachian Mountains, the Rockies. And so when I started my trip, within 2 weeks, I'm in the Appalachian Mountains and I'm climbing 3,000 feet. It's late June, early July. It's hot as hell, humid, dripping sweat. It was the hardest 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, or maybe it was like day 11, I have to go look at my blog and see when that day was. But all of a sudden, I woke up and like, it wasn't so hard anymore. My legs didn't hurt so bad. It just became biking. And then so all I had to do was just get up and eat and like have fun. But if I quit on day 5 because it was too hard, I never would have had this beautiful experience, and then in 2017, I found CrossFit, and that was hard because I never snatched and cleaned and did these kipping pull-ups and all these new movements. I've been working out since I was 14. Now I'm 27. I've never done all this stuff. If I quit in the first 3 months of CrossFit, I never would have realized how much I loved it. But month 4, I was still not good, but I would things were becoming more natural. It started to become more fun, right? I mentioned swimming before. Same thing happened. Swim 1 lap, I can't breathe. But I keep coming back, and then I could swim 30 minutes nonstop in the pool. But if I quit too soon, you'll never realize what could actually happen. But we just think, for some reason, we think that it should be easier than it is. Like, I posted 7 times this week. Why haven't I gone viral? Why isn't my business making 10K months by now? It's like, who told you that was going to happen? Who told you? Who knew exactly how your life is going to work out? No one knows. And like you said, just because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You have your own lessons to learn. So stop stopping before that breaking point, that tipping point. And it's oftentimes already on the other side of that tipping point that you get like to this tipping point when you want to quit, you go a little more, and then it starts to get a little easier and a little more fun and a little more exciting and all that. So just don't quit so damn soon.
How long do you usually encourage someone to, especially when we're talking about, social media and marketing, how long do you usually encourage someone to try to be with something new before they stop and shift and change?
Yeah, it's a tough thing to answer because it's just so different. Like, if I started CrossFit in 2017, but it never worked out a day in my life, probably would have taken a year or maybe 2 years to get good at CrossFit. But I've been an athlete my whole life. I've been working out since 14. So it wasn't that hard to go into CrossFit and start to learn the movements and stuff within 3-4 months. So there's no good answer. I think you kind of, if you're quitting because it's too hard, or if you're quitting, and I think that's practice too. If you're quitting, if it's out of alignment, because social media is my thing. I would also say, like, maybe you're like, I was naturally intuitive with photo and video. And I was a photographer and videographer before getting into reel. So making videos was probably easier for me than somebody who's never edited a video in their life. So there's going to be more of a learning curve for that person. Having said that, what you really want to focus on with social media is your messaging. It's not so much about making the prettiest reel with all, these transitions or whatever. Like, there's a guy I follow who I love so much, Flint Skidmore. Every single video is him talking to the camera with subtitles. That's it. No fancy editing, nothing. And even his videos are like 2.5-3 minutes long on Instagram, which whenever I post a 2.5 minute video, it does not do well at all. But his crush, because his messaging is really on point. So, I mean, that's a big thing. It's like, people make fun of the vanity metrics. Even I kind of teased it a little bit, like the likes and the followers, and nobody commented or saved my reel. And I'm like, don't worry about the vanity metrics, right? And I'm like, I hear you. Make what you love. Don't worry about the vanity metrics. But also, if you want to grow your business, vanity metrics are incredible feedback. If your post isn't getting likes and bringing new followers, then it sucks. That's the reality. It's just not good enough. I'm not saying your intention behind it wasn't fun and good and you knew what you wanted to say, but you're not saying it well enough. You're not being as clear as you could be. Maybe you're not storytelling and using enough emotion. Maybe you're not using metaphors to help people understand this new belief you want them to have, right? So there's a lot that can go behind it. And it's like, now, right, this is where it gets fun. My post got 10 likes. It wasn't good enough. How do I make it better? What is Matt doing? Oh, what does Gary Vee do? What does Aubrey Marcus do? What does this content look like? Not just what they're saying, but what are the cuts look like? And then now you get to have fun creating content, and you get to be creative. And I think, man, everyone's creative, and they just don't give themselves space to be creative. And there's so much magic that comes out of those moments when, like, you feeling most creative. If you're in the shower and you have a great idea, well, that's you being creative, and it feels so good, right? When you have those downloads, like, that's you being creative, and it feels so good and energetic. And there's ways to, like, pour that into your content and stuff. And I'll stop talking about content, but it just goes back to, like, yeah, like, this is an opportunity for you to get good at this. And that, I think that gets to be the fun part of life, right? Same thing, being mindful, getting better in the gym, whatever your fitness goals might be, like, all of this gets to be fun. You get to have fun in the process if you let it. Or you can continue to say, this sucks, it's too hard, I can't do it. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And so you can keep telling yourself that it's hard and that it sucks, and then it will always be hard and it will always suck. Or you can say, I'm getting better, this is fun, I'm learning how to be a better creative, I'm learning how to be more efficient in the gym, like, whatever it is, and that's your choice.
Shift in perspective.
That's it. It's easy. It's easy, right?
Sometimes.
I'm
Sometimes. So, Matt, my last question that I have for you today is, what change do you see could exist in the world if people stepped into living through this lens of fun and through this lens of doing because it feels good for them? How do you think that that could create a more mindful evolution in our world?
I think if everybody was experiencing the feelings that they want to have, that they would be happier, right? And there would be less hate. And I think probably the general collective would be getting what they wanted. And yeah, having fun. I think fun is the point. Like, I grew up Catholic, and it seems like there was this undertone of, like, apologize for your sins, and, like, you're like, it's like, I'm here to suffer, and it's like, what? Why the hell would anyone want that? That's not what we're here to do. We're here to have fun and enjoy this process. And yes, sometimes it's hard, but that's also the fun part of it. And if everyone showed up with more just loving curiosity first for themselves, right? Again, like, I want to be the richest person in the world. And then we shame ourselves. It's like, no, just loving, well, not no, but like, okay, where is the shame coming from? Can I create space, loving curiosity, and ask myself where that shame's coming from? And then I can create loving curiosity around, why do I want money? What do I think that's going to get me? Right? And if you can have more love and curiosity with yourself, then it pours out to everyone else, right? It's always, I think I hear this example a lot, but it's like, you're in traffic and someone cuts you off, and it's like, fuck you, It's like, that's how I grew up, and I had a lot of road rage when I was a young driver. But we could also, like, someone cuts you off, and it could just be like, you know what? They probably got to take a dump. They're probably about to shit themselves. Like, let them go. It's all good. I have plenty of time. I'm not going to be late for my thing. It's fine. Right. And like, you get to have that perspective, and that's a practice, right? My immediate reaction was for so long was to honk and scream and put my brights on and flick people off. I never really liked flicking people off, actually. But, and slowly that started to dissipate until now the immediate reaction is like, I don't even notice it. Like, whatever, who cares? And you know, that's obviously one example of life, but I think when you show that love and compassion towards yourself, it gets so much easier to share it with, or to pour it outwards to other people, and know that like we don't know anyone's story, and they're doing their best, and just assume that, like, I get this a lot with my clients and people who leave hateful comments, or even maybe a potential client in the DMs who seems super interested and now isn't responding for 2 days. It's like, we don't know what's happening. Maybe their dog is sick. Maybe, you know, an emergency happened. Maybe their phone fell in the bottom of the river. Like, we don't actually know, but you assume that they hate you and don't want any part of you, and you scared them away. It's like, that might not be true. We don't know. You could just show up with love and curiosity, and your next DM could be like, hey, I hope everything's okay. Like, don't worry about the sales call. You know, I just want to help you pursue your dreams. So, you know, hopefully the post that I just put up, I was thinking of you. You know, I hope it's really beneficial. And you could just show up with more love, you know, and doesn't that feel better than sitting over here and making up the story that this person hates you and they ghosted you, you know, whatever. It's like, we don't have to, we just make up stories constantly, and we can notice those stories and give more love and curiosity towards those things, and make the news story that feels better for us. And if, like, yeah, we're all like, you know, if I don't know, I'm trying to answer your question, but I'm like, I don't know. I think like you stand in line for coffee, and it's like everyone's just chatting with each other and being like, hey, I love you. This is such a great day. I can't wait to get my coffee. This line doesn't bother me at all. You know, I get to chat with you today. Like, man, what a fun world that would be, instead of, you know, someone cutting you in line and now fighting. And it's like, no one actually wants that.
Well, I appreciate the reflections there, and I agree. I mean, I think that if more people were leaning into that, into a life that felt good for them, that the way that we interacted with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us would and could look very different.
Yeah, totally. And it's all, yeah, it's all just practice, right? And
It's all practice.
like they said, mindfulness, like, it really is the practice of being more mindful and just noticing what's coming up, and then you practice that love and curiosity, and then the more you practice it, the better you get, and then these little things don't bother you, right? And you mentioned it, like, people with more money, more followers, like, yeah, it's a new level problem, you know, and cool. And then we get to solve those problems, and that's what we're here to do. It's not going to end, so you might as well enjoy it all, because you're never going to arrive, right? I don't know if anyone is ever truly enlightened, you know, besides the one-off Buddha or whatever, but like, most of us aren't getting there, and that's fine. So we just get to like have fun problem solving and be more mindful every day.
It's the practice of just continuing to show up, regardless of where you end up.
Yep.
I love it. Matt, thank you so much for sharing all of your fun and all of your playfulness and all of the wisdom that you have with me and with our listener today. And it's been such a pleasure. I know that you have something super exciting coming very soon. Would you like to share a little bit about the membership that you have that's launching soon?
Yeah, so launching at the end of October, October 30th is when the doors officially open. It's called Growth, the messaging membership. The themes are grow your audience, grow your business, and grow yourself. And if you couldn't tell by this podcast, you know, it really starts with growing yourself, an opportunity to speak your truth, to say what you really want to say to the world, to really create the business you want, and pull and attract, you know, these ideal clients that you really love. And so it's just learning to have fun with content again in your way. I just recently thought of this great metaphor, so I'll share it. Like, I teach a framework, and it's really helpful and powerful. But oftentimes in frameworks, we can get stuck, and that's not the intention. The intention is like, The framework is knowing the rules of Earth. If you know how gravity acts on an object, you can design a really effective and efficient rocket ship. That's the framework I teach. But guess what? Your rocket ship can be pink or green, and the windows can be wherever you want it, and you can name it whatever you want it, and the bathroom can be wherever, and the control panels can look however you want it. Like, this is your opportunity to create what you want in the world through a framework of understanding what can work better on social media, but ultimately at the end of the day, doing it your way and having fun in the process. So that's what I'm really hoping to, let's take out hoping. That is what I'm offering in this membership to anybody who wants to get on social media in a more impactful way, and do things different, do things their way, have fun in the process while growing their business and changing lives. That's what growth is here to do.
Thank you so much for sharing. And we will be sure to put growth for you in the show notes. So if you're interested in checking out Matt's new and exciting membership to support you in authentically stepping into sharing your message with the world, check it out. And Matt, thank you so much for being here. And we'll chat with you soon.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. This was so fun.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today and for continuing to opt in to your inner work. If you found value in this conversation, please share it on social media or with someone you know that values both healing and growth. And I'd also like to invite you to join the Holistic Healing Tribe. This is my private community full of self-healers who are on a mission to optimize their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Click the link in the show notes to join the tribe. And when you join, I'll send you my favorite things that have made the biggest impact on my health, my healing, and my growth. And finally, if you're anything like me and deeply care about seeing a more mindful approach to human evolution, please leave a review to help us reach more listeners and make a bigger impact on the world around you. Soon.